Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Smackdown tonight was from the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, while Rampage was taped from the Chaifetz Arena, I think that's how you pronounce the name of it, in St. Louis, Missouri. And Smackdown, last week's show was okay, and this week's show went right back to reality with Smackdown, with the show being absolutely fucking terrible. We all know that Smackdown is the worst pro wrestling show on television. And Monday Night Raw is number 2. But Smackdown, absolutely terrible show tonight. What do we get on Smackdown tonight? We had Madcap Moss versus Corbin in a last laugh match. This is the last match of their feud. Thank God. Because their feud has been fucking terrible. Who cares about Moss and Corbin? Do you all care about this feud? Then we saw the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Yeah, some good show Smackdown was tonight. We had a Money in the Bank qualifying match, Women's Money in the Bank qualifying match, Raquel Rodriguez, Smiley Raquel, versus Shayna Baszler. And the main event, we had the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship on the line where Roman Reigns defended the title against Riddle. Of course, you all know the outcome of that match. We had Vince McMahon make a 3-minute appearance on SmackDown tonight, which I will get to explaining why that went down. And we were going to get the first member of Max Dupree's so-called Maximum Male Models, but unfortunately that didn't take place tonight. WWE doesn't know where this is going with Max Dupree. But overall, SmackDown, terrible show tonight. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video, I did a movie review of Lightyear, which I saw last night. So definitely go check out my review of that if you guys haven't seen it. I thought the film was decent, not great or perfect, definitely not one of Pixar's best films. But check out my review of Lightyear if you guys haven't seen it. And then also I want to get into touch about the news that broke out on Wednesday. Man, this week has been a crazy week in the world of professional wrestling. Monday we had Jeff Hardy being arrested for DUI, and now this news with Vince McMahon. So apparently this news broke out on Wednesday, courtesy of the Wall Street Journal, where WWE board probed a secret $3 million hush pact by CEO Vince McMahon. And like I said, this is coming from the Wall Street Journal. It says the board of World Wrestling Entertainment is investigating a secret $3 million settlement that longtime chief executive Vince McMahon agreed to pay to a departed employee with whom he allegedly had an affair with, according to documents and people familiar with the board inquiry. So Vince McMahon had an affair with this departed employee, probably cheated on Linda McMahon there. And there was a report that came out that Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon have not been together for a while, which I read. So it says the January 2022 separation agreement bars the now former employee who was hired as a paralegal in 2019 from discussing her relationship with Mr. McMahon or disparaging him, the people said. The board's investigation, which began in April, has unearthed other older non-disclosure agreements involving claims by former female WWE employees of misconduct by Mr. McMahon and one of his top executives, Mr. John Laurinaitis, people power, who is the head of talent relations. The Wall Street Journal couldn't determine how many previous agreements were being scrutinized, and the board's outside counsel was still collecting information about the other NDAs this week, but has determined that the payments totaled in the millions of dollars, the people said. WWE, which runs the world's most famous wrestling business, reported record revenue of $1.1 billion last year and net income of $180.4 million, with most of its revenue from selling content rights. Its stock rose 5% yesterday. That was Tuesday, because this article came out on Wednesday. Its stock rose 5% on Tuesday amid broad market gains. So apparently, Vince McMahon paid this female employee that was departing from the company $3 million to hush up on this whole thing. So, and then the news that came out today was Vince stepped down as the CEO of the WWE, and they have named a new interim CEO, which is Vince's daughter, Stephanie McMahon. So Stephanie is the interim CEO of WWE, and there was a press release that was released early this morning, stating that Stephanie McMahon named interim CEO and also interim chairwoman. So she's also the chairwoman of WWE. And Stephanie ended up saying, I have pledged my complete cooperation to the investigation by the special committee, and I will do everything possible to support the investigation. I have also pledged to accept the findings and outcome of the investigation, whatever they are. So she ended up saying that I love this company and have committed to working with the independent directors to strengthen our culture and our company. It is extremely important to me that we have a safe and collaborative workplace. I have committed to doing everything in my power to help the special committee complete its work, including marshaling the cooperation of the entire company to assist in the completion of the investigation and to implement its findings. So that was what the press release said. But it says, coming from WrestlingInc.com, on top of the allegation, other non-disclosure agreements by former employees were also found in the investigation. This is the reason for Vince stepping down from his role, which will also bring Stephanie back into work, just a month after she announced a leave of absence from her previous job, because she was the chief brand officer. Stephanie previously tweeted, as of tomorrow, I am taking a leave of absence from the majority of my responsibilities at WWE. This is when she announced that she's taking a leave of absence from her job as chief branding officer. She kept saying, WWE is a lifelong legacy for me, and I look forward to returning to the company that I love after taking this time to focus on my family. So that was what Stephanie said in that tweet. Here on Wrestling Inc., it says, now she will be taking charge of the entire company on an interim basis as the investigation with Vince continues. Now, with Stephanie being the interim CEO and chairwoman of WWE, I have to say, people online were saying, oh, well, Stephanie is the interim CEO and chairwoman. Oh, this is going to bring change to WWE. If you all think that, you are living in a fantasy world. Nothing is going to change because Vince is still the creative director of anything that goes on in WWE, where they have an idea, they got to go through Vince. And that's pretty much basically how it works. So there's not going to be no change in WWE. The only time we will see change in WWE is if Vince and Bruce Pritchard and all of Vince's team there are gone. That is the only time that we will see change come into WWE. And that's not going to happen for a very, very long time. And with Stephanie being the CEO, the interim CEO and chairwoman of WWE, I think that this is a disguise for Stephanie, because with Vince coming out on SmackDown, he came out on SmackDown 3 minutes. And the only thing that he said on SmackDown, this was when the show opened, he was introduced by Samantha Irvin. He got a ovation from the crowd, which I don't know why. You could tell that was piped in crowd noises, because people would be booing him after this news broke out. But no, the people there in Minneapolis, the crowd there, didn't even possibly know that this news broke out. So they're all cheering him, like, ah! Like nothing happened with Vince. So Vince came out. He kept saying that it's a privilege to stand before the fans tonight. He kept saying that he's here to remind everyone of the 4 words in the signature that WWE always plays before their shows start. Then, now, forever, together. So Vince ended up saying, "Welcome to SmackDown." And then he tossed the mic aside and got out of the ring. That was a complete waste of 3 minutes to open SmackDown. And with that, you could tell that Vince is still running things. Stephanie, being the interim CEO and chairwoman, is a disguise. So the Vince appearance tonight on SmackDown was to show everybody that he is still in charge, and that nothing happened. That nothing happened with the news that broke out. So the whole, like I said, Stephanie being the interim CEO and the interim chairwoman is all a disguise. Vince is still in charge. So don't believe people saying, oh, well, with Stephanie being the interim CEO and being the interim chairwoman, oh, there's going to be change in WWE. Don't fall for it. Don't. So watch Vince get away with this. You know, he's gotten away with stuff in the past. He'll get away with this. Watch. And also, people power. John Laurinaitis, you know he's as good as gone. You know he's going to be future endeavored. But that's my thoughts on this story with Vince and the allegations, scandals on this with Vince, and Stephanie being the interim CEO and interim chairwoman of WWE, and Vince stepping down as CEO of the company just until these allegations clear up. But that was the news that broke out on Wednesday, and more news has come out of this allegation scandal with Vince. So I just want to give my thoughts and tell you all, of that news. But on to the SmackDown review. So SmackDown opened up, like I said, with Vince McMahon, came out, wasted our time for 3 minutes, saying that it's a privilege to stand before the fans. And he says the 4 words in the signature of WWE that's shown before, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, saying then, now, forever together, and he welcomed us to SmackDown. Waste of 3 minutes. Absolute waste. So then we had Riddle end up making his way out. Riddle got on the mic. He kept saying that he wants to take a stroll down memory lane. And he tossed us to a recap of his recent history with the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, which also started with RK Bro, with him and Orton losing the Tag Team Championship Unification match to the Usos. So we saw that. And after the recap was over, Riddle ended up saying that he's been waiting a long time for this opportunity. He ended up saying all his friends and family are watching at home. And so is his best bro, Randy Orton. Randy Orton, he's going to be out for the remainder of the year because he has a back injury. So he's going to be out for the remaining parts of the year. So Riddle ended up saying that Randy has a big operation coming up, and everyone wishes him the best of luck. He ended up saying that Randy may be wondering if he'll be able to come back. So Riddle ended up saying, "We miss you, bro." Riddle ended up saying that he doesn't care what kind of shape Orton is in. He was like, "I love you, Randy." So Riddle ended up saying that Orton has been killing legends for 20 years. He ended up mentioning Orton setting The Undertaker on fire at one time. And that was at No Mercy 2005. The casket match between him and The Undertaker. Riddle ended up saying that Orton sacrificed everything to entertain us. Riddle ended up saying that he speaks for everyone when he says, "Thank you, Randy." He wants to say that tonight he challenges the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, of the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And he knows everyone he's dedicating the match to Orton. So Riddle ended up requesting that they play Orton's entrance song. So which they did. They ended up playing Orton's theme. And pretty much that was basically the segment. So this is hype for Riddle versus Roman for later on in the night. But overall, the segment was okay in my opinion. And then we had the first match of the night. The last laugh match between Corbin and Madcap Moss. And this is their last match of their feud. Thank God. Thank God this feud is over. This feud was nothing but awful. So Moss ended up making his way out. And this was in Moss's hometown of Minneapolis. So then Corbin ended up coming out. So we had the match. The match was just very meh, in my opinion. Match started off with Corbin charging at Moss. Moss ended up taking down Corbin with a forearm strike. Corbin ended up retaking control of the match, started delivering some punches to Moss. Corbin backed Moss into the corner and charged into a knee from Moss. Moss ended up hitting a flying shoulder tackle from the second turnbuckle. He started kicking away at Corbin in the corner, started whipping him hard into the opposite corner. Corbin fired back with some punches, and he ended up choking Moss on the top rope. Corbin ended up taking down Moss with a head and arm choke. He ended up kneeing Moss in the gut, ended up missing a dive into the corner. Moss then ended up picking up the pace of the match. He ended up hitting a shoulder tackle to Corbin. Corbin ended up going for a clothesline, but he missed, and Moss ended up catching Corbin with the fallaway slam. So Corbin ended up sending Moss through the turnbuckle into the ring post, to which Moss ended up spilling to the outside. Corbin ended up falling to the outside and ended up sending Moss into the timekeeper's area. As SmackDown came back from the commercial, Corbin and Moss were both on the ring apron. They were trading punches. Corbin then clotheslined Moss over the top rope, ended up lifting Moss to the top turnbuckle. Moss ended up fighting off Corbin, and Moss hit a sunset flip from the top rope onto Corbin, and he ended up going for the cover, and Corbin kicked out at 2. Moss ended up charging in at Corbin, and Corbin ended up laying out Moss with the deep 6, to which Corbin ended up going for the cover, and Moss ended up kicking out. At the end of the match, we had Moss end up laying the punchline neckbreaker onto Corbin, and so Moss ended up going for the cover, and Corbin kicked out at 2. Moss then ended up hitting another punchline neckbreaker on Corbin. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Madcap Moss ended up winning the match, finishing off this awful feud between him and Corbin. Post-match, Moss ended up getting on the mic, and he was laughing at Corbin, and I guess, that paid off the stipulation with Moss ended up laughing, so Moss ended up getting the last laugh. And pretty much that was basically that. Overall, very meh match, and thank God this feud between Moss and Corbin is over. This was a fucking awful feud between both of these guys. And then we had the Street Profits. The Street Profits are backstage, and they end up recapping Moss and Corbin. They end up mentioning Riddle challenging the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns later on the night. And then the Profits end up mentioning that they will challenge the Usos for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles at Money in the Bank. So we're going to be seeing the Usos and the Street Profits at Money in the Bank for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles for the 1,000th time we're seeing these guys go at it. This is what happens when you have no other tag teams. The tag team division on both shows are fucking terrible. What you got? You have the Usos, you have the Alpha Academy, and you have the Street Profits. Yeah, some tag team division. And then we had Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. They were interrupted by Corbin. Corbin had a mic in hand. Corbin was saying that he and Pat McAfee have known each other for a long time. Corbin was saying that he keeps hearing McAfee criticizing him on commentary, even when he was broke and down on his luck. Corbin was saying that McAfee talks about all his losses and says he's undeserving of his pyro. Corbin ended up threatening to drag Pat McAfee into the ring and wish he were dead. Corbin ended up dropping the mic, and he ended up walking away. Pat McAfee ended up standing up from his chair. He took his headset off. He got on the mic, and he started a bum-ass Corbin chant, which the crowd ended up doing. McAfee ended up saying that before Corbin walks out of the arena, he wants the fans to laugh Corbin out of the arena. So McAfee ended up getting the fans to laugh at Corbin, and as Corbin was leaving ringside, the New Day music ended up playing, so Kofi and Xavier ended up coming out. They ended up pointing at Corbin, and they laughed at him, and pretty much that was basically that. So please don't tell me we are getting Corbin versus Pat McAfee. Please don't tell me that. I mean, that WWE has no roster on SmackDown, and now they're referring to Pat McAfee to have a match with Corbin, possibly. Please don't. Please don't. Who wants to see Corbin versus Pat McAfee? How awful is that? I mean, Pat McAfee is good in the ring, but do we really need to see this? So now we are referring to now having Pat McAfee get back in the ring and possibly have a match with Corbin. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? Awful. Absolutely awful. But like I said, SmackDown, they have no roster. Their roster is completely deplorable. And now they're going to Pat McAfee, and we're possibly going to get a Pat McAfee versus Corbin match. What's next? After you move on from Pat McAfee, are you going to get Michael Cole back in the ring? It's fucking awful. Absolutely awful. They have a deplorable roster, and yet now they're going to the commentary table to get Pat McAfee to get back into the ring. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we got a classic SmackDown moment. This was from the 4th of July in 2002, that edition of SmackDown, where Edge ended up teaming up with Hulk Hogan, and they won the tag team titles from Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo when they were known as Billy and Chuck, when they ended up making them both gay, and they were just referred to as Billy and Chuck, and they had Rico being their manager. I remember watching that match that night on SmackDown, and Edge and Hulk Hogan winning the tag team titles. What a great moment that was. And it made for a really good 4th of July that night. You know, just seeing Hogan and Edge win the titles. So, but what a moment that was. That was back when SmackDown was very good. And they were probably better than Raw, you know, at that point. But what a moment that was. And then we had Megan Morant. Megan Morant was backstage. She was interviewing Natalya. Natalya ended up saying that she's going to beat some respect into Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank. She ended up saying that she proved the sharpshooter is the most dangerous submission move in WWE history. Natalya ended up wanting to ask Ronda how it felt. But then Natalya was like, oh, Ronda is not here tonight because she's at home licking her wounds. Natalya ended up saying that a sharpshooter breaks bones and rips tendons. She ended up saying that she'll be the first woman in WWE history to make Ronda tap out. So that was what Natalya had to say, but who cares about Natalya versus Ronda for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Money in the Bank? That's going to be a boring-ass match come Money in the Bank. So then we went back to the arena. Kingston and Xavier Woods were waiting in the ring. Jinder Mahal and Shanky end up making their way out. Once again, Shanky is busting the move, behind Jinder Mahal's back. Yeah. Shanky. This is Shanky. So then SmackDown went to commercial. And then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, the match got underway. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Match was boring. This match was awful. Jinder Mahal started off the match against Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods ended up grabbing a headlock on Jinder Mahal, but he ran into a body slam by Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal ended up kicking an elbow on Xavier Woods into the corner. Xavier Woods ended up reversing a whip into the corner, hit a springboard drop kick to Jinder Mahal. He ended up going for the cover, and Mahal kicked out at 2. Kofi tagged in, Him and Xavier Woods end up hitting a double bulldog onto Jinder Mahal. Kingston ended up going for the cover, to which Mahal ended up kicking out at 2. So Mahal ended up tagging in Shanky. Kingston ended up hitting a drop kick to Shanky. Shanky didn't go down. It did nothing to Shanky. And so Shanky ended up hitting a huge chop on Kofi Kingston, which echoed through the arena. Shanky then ended up backing Kofi Kingston into the corner, ended up hitting some elbows to Kofi. Shanky then ended up throwing Kofi across the ring. Shanky ended up stopping the pose. Xavier Woods started to play his trombone, started to play Francesca. And Shanky couldn't resist the tune. And Shanky fucking dances. He's busting the move. Mahal then tagged in, started scolding Shanky. Jinder Mahal ended up turning around, walked right into the Trouble in Paradise delivered by Kofi. And Kofi ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Kofi and Xavier Woods end up winning the match. Post-match, you had Shanky. He was trying to go after Kofi and Xavier, and they managed to escape out of the ring. Shanky was still dancing. And then Jinder Mahal was not pleased with that. And that was that. But overall, this match was awful. This match was absolutely terrible. And when Kofi was playing Francesca, the trombone, and Shanky was dancing, it looked like Shanky was in a trance just by him dancing. And then as Kofi ended up pinning Jinder, Shanky goes after Kofi and Xavier, and I'm like, did Shanky just did his inner Festus? Like how when the bell rang, when Doc Gallows was Festus, when the bell rang, he was, just going at it, and then when the bell rang again, he was in a trance. I don't know, that's what I thought of when I saw Shanky here. So, but awful match. And then we saw Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ended up making his way out. Oh, and then before Drew McIntyre came out, they showed a hype video of the Viking Raiders that they returned to SmackDown next week. They were a part of the SmackDown roster. So they'll be back next week. So then Drew McIntyre made his way out. Michael Cole in commentary ended up telling us that Adam Pearce has promised to make a decision on whether Drew McIntyre or Sheamus will qualify for the men's Money in the Bank match. So then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Drew McIntyre was waiting in the ring with Adam Pearce. So Sheamus, Butch, and Ridge Holland were in the back. Sheamus ended up saying that his buddies have to stay in the back. So Ridge Holland ended up promising to keep a tight hold on Butch. Because we all know, Pete Dunne, Butch, how he's like, wanting to fight. So Sheamus ended up making his way out. Adam Pearce got on the mic. He ended up telling both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre that they both failed to qualify for the Money in the Bank match. Pearce ended up rambling on about how Money in the Bank works, which we all know how Money in the Bank works. WWE thinks we're fucking stupid, that we all don't know how Money in the Bank works. We've been seeing Money in the Bank matches since 2005 when it was introduced at WrestleMania 21. We know the rules of how a Money in the Bank match works. We don't need to be explained on how the match works. So McIntyre ended up cutting Adam Pearce off. He ended up saying that if he's not in the match, he's going to beat someone's ass. So Sheamus got on the mic. He ended up saying that putting McIntyre in the match would be one of the biggest mistakes in the history of the company. Sheamus ended up recalling that he successfully cashed in Money in the Bank once, while McIntyre was victimized by Money in the Bank. So the only reason why Adam Pearce was out there to decide whether Drew McIntyre or Sheamus will qualify for the matches, because the qualifying match for last week ended in a double DQ. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that he's reviewed the footage and consulted with management. He ended up saying that the decision is that Sheamus is in the Money in the Bank match. Sheamus then grabbed the mic. He started gloating about McIntyre sitting at home while he competes in Money in the Bank. McIntyre ended up going after Sheamus. He clotheslined Sheamus out of the ring. And Adam Pearce ended up saying that McIntyre is also going to be in Money in the Bank. Sheamus then ended up running right into the ring, and he ran right into a Claymore by McIntyre. McIntyre ended up posing, and he left Sheamus laid out in the ring. And pretty much that was how the segment ended. So both McIntyre and Sheamus will be part of the men's Money in the Bank. That was that. And then we saw Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was backstage. He ended up walking up to the door to Roman's dressing room, and he was nervous. Caleb Braxton ended up walking up to him, ended up asking if he's spoken with anyone in the bloodline. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he hasn't spoken to anyone. So Caleb Braxton was wondering if there's any ill will over Sami losing last week. Sami Zayn ended up saying that no worries, because he's an honorary Uce. And Sami Zayn ended up deciding to go to the bathroom, and he ended up walking off, and that was that. And then next we had Smiley Raquel as she made her way out. So we had a pre-recorded promo, and Raquel ended up saying that she was close to beating Ronda and wants to get into the women's Money in the Bank. So that was what Raquel had to say. And then we had Shayna Baszler end up making her way out. Shayna Baszler ended up cutting a promo talking about how she's going to tear apart Raquel Rodriguez and how she's going to ruin Raquel's dreams. So that was what Shayna Baszler had to say. And then we had the match. This was a Money in the Bank qualifying match. Raquel versus Shayna Baszler. Lacey Evans was on commentary during the match. Lacey Evans is in the women's Money in the Bank. But this match was awful. This match was absolutely terrible. Raquel ended up grabbing a double leg by Shayna Baszler. She ended up driving Shayna Baszler into the corner. We had Shotzi and Aaliyah. They were watching backstage. And they were told that they'll meet in another qualifying match next week. So we're going to get Shotzi versus Aaliyah next week. Money in the Bank qualifying match. So Shayna Baszler ended up trying to go for a sleeper hold on Raquel. Raquel ended up backing Shayna into the corner to break the sleeper hold. Raquel ended up powering up Shayna Baszler with the one-arm powerbomb. And she ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Raquel Rodriguez ended up winning the match. So Lacey Evans was shown applauding Raquel at ringside. So there you go. Raquel is going to be in Money in the Bank. And we all know she's going to smile her way in the match in Money in the Bank. She's going to smile away while she's on the ladder. She's going to climb the ladder, retrieve, probably get a hold of the briefcase. That's going to be her holding on to the briefcase, trying to retrieve it. But overall, boring match. And then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we saw a spotlight in the middle of the ring. And this was supposed to be Max Dupree's announcing his first clients for the Maximum Male Models. So he went backstage. Max Dupree got in Adam Pearce's face. Max Dupree ended up telling Adam Pearce that he's disappointed with the lighting setup for his client. Dupree ended up saying that this will not do. And Adam Pearce ended up saying that we will not see his clients until Adam Pearce tightens this up. So pretty much that was that. But does WWE even know who they want to make Max Dupree's clients for the Maximum Male Models? I'm not sure they do. But can you imagine if it's going to be the Viking Raiders? Can you imagine that if that happened? Because the Viking Raiders are going to appear next week. And can you imagine if they are Max Dupree's first clients in the Maximum Male Models? That will be awful. And then we had Caleb Braxton. Caleb Braxton ended up interviewing Gunther. Ludwig Kaiser ended up getting on the mic. Kaiser ended up saying that Gunther's victory was inevitable. He had reminded us the title was first awarded in South America, and its first holder was French-Canadian. He kept saying that it was besmirched by Ricochet. Kaiser ended up saying that the Intercontinental title will never be held by an American ever again, and its prestige will be restored. So Gunther ended up adding that he is the new Intercontinental Champion. So that was that. And then we had Riddle end up making his way out for his match against the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And then Roman ended up coming out along with the Bloodline, along with the Usos and Paul Heyman. So as SmackDown came back from the commercial, they announced that Sami Zayn will be facing Shinsuke Nakamura next week, and that Shotzi will take on Aaliyah in a Money in the Bank qualifying match next week. And Ricochet is going to get his rematch for the Intercontinental Championship against Gunther, which Gunther is going to retain the title. No way is Ricochet winning back the Intercontinental Championship. So it's going to be taking place next week on SmackDown. Main event: Riddle versus Roman Reigns, undisputed WWE Universal Championship on the line. Very good match this was, but I gotta admit, the commercials kind of killed the match. You know, we're going to commercial breaks. We should have gotten this match at Money in the Bank, but Roman is not going to appear at Money in the Bank. So this is going to be the third premium live event that Roman is going to miss. He missed Backlash, he missed Hell in a Cell, and now he's going to miss Money in the Bank. Next time Roman will be on a premium live event is at SummerSlam, which I will get to. So, but this was a very good match. Riddle ended up charging right at the Tribal Chief. He started pounding Reigns down in the corner with some punches and kicks. Reigns came back and delivered an uppercut to take down Riddle. Reigns backed Riddle into the corner, slammed him into the top turnbuckle. Reigns ended up whipping Riddle into the corner. Riddle hopped over Reigns, hit a fisherman suplex to Reigns. Reigns rolled out to the floor. Riddle followed up with a kick from the apron, and he delivered the springboard floating bro from the second rope onto Reigns on the floor, which looked cool. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Riddle was punching Reigns in the middle of the ring. Reigns ended up coming back and delivered an uppercut, which knocked down Riddle. Reigns started mounting Riddle with some punches. So Reigns then ended up choking Riddle on the bottom rope. Reigns rolled out to the floor, hit the drive-by dropkick onto Riddle. He ended up going for the cover, and Riddle kicked out at 2. So Reigns ended up trying to ground Riddle with a cravat, and Riddle ended up fighting to his feet. He couldn't break the hold. Riddle started punching Reigns in the gut to break it up, and Riddle ended up catching Reigns with an overhead kick, and he ended up kipping up. Riddle ended up trying to go for the final flash knee, and Reigns ended up reversing that into a Uranagi, and Reigns ended up going for the cover, and Riddle kicked out at 2. Pat McAfee on commentary, he noticed that was similar to a rock bottom. So Riddle ended up going out to the floor as Roman ended up following him. We had Reigns end up hitting a Randy Orton backdrop suplex to Riddle onto the commentary table. Reigns started talking into one of the cameras, started taunting Randy Orton. So later on, we had Riddle was down and Reigns was posing for the crowd. Reigns started loading up for the Superman punch. Riddle ended up catching him with a jumping knee. Reigns charged into a power slam by Riddle. Riddle ended up going for Orton's draping DDT. Reigns ended up fighting out of it out to the floor. Riddle ended up backdropping suplexing Reigns onto the commentary table. Riddle ended up trying to get Reigns into the ring, and Reigns ended up slamming Riddle into the ring post. Reigns ended up rolling Riddle into the ring. He ended up stalling. Riddle ended up catching Reigns, coming back in with a draping DDT. Riddle ended up setting up for the RKO, and Reigns ended up powering out of it, hit the Superman punch to Riddle. He ended up going for the cover, and Riddle kicked out at 2. So at the end of the match, you had Riddle setting up for another RKO. Reigns ended up pushing him off. Riddle came off the ropes and tried for a springboard. Reigns ended up delivering a spear to Riddle in midair, and Reigns ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Roman Reigns won the match, retaining the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, which we all knew. So post-match, the Usos and Paul Heyman end up celebrating with Reigns in the ring. And this loss meant that Riddle cannot challenge for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship as long as Reigns is the champion. Reigns then ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying, "There's no one left." And Reigns is right. There is no one left on the roster to face Reigns. So Reigns ended up saying that he promised 2 years ago he would wreck everyone, and then he was leaving. And that's exactly what he says he's doing. So then Reigns ended up telling Minneapolis to acknowledge him. So Reigns ended up getting ready to leave the ring. And then we had the return of Brock Lesnar. And you all know where this is going to be headed. So Brock Lesnar walked out wearing his cowboy hat. He walked out onto the stage. Reigns ended up clearing the Usos and Paul Heyman out of the ring. Lesnar got into the ring to face off with Reigns. They had a stare down. Lesnar extended his hand for Roman to shake it. Reigns ended up going to shake Lesnar's hand, and Lesnar ended up scooping up Reigns, and Lesnar dropped Reigns with the F5. The Usos ended up coming into the ring, and we had Brock Lesnar just taking down the Usos, and Lesnar ended up hitting both of the Usos with the F5, and pretty much that was basically how SmackDown went off the air. Overall, very good match between Reigns and Riddle, even though we should have gotten this match at Money in the Bank. But it was an enjoyable match. But what I don't like is, once again, we are getting Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. And WWE was so quick to confirm it, because after SmackDown went off the air, WWE on their social media posted it. We're getting Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. It's going to be a last man standing match, and the undisputed WWE Universal Championship is going to be on the line. What did Brock Lesnar do to earn a shot at the title? Absolutely nothing. WWE, typical WWE, just handing Brock Lesnar, a shot, easy pass at the title. This is over. This is played out. This feud between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar is played out already. How many times do we gotta see Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar go at it? It's the same fucking match that we got for a few years now. The same fucking shit. And originally, this was supposed to be, I read this was on Fightful. They announced that the original plan was for Roman Reigns to face Randy Orton at SummerSlam. But since Orton will be out, he's got to have the back surgery, they end up going with Brock Lesnar. They return Brock Lesnar, and we're going to be seeing these two go at it again. Oh my God. Oh. We don't need another Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar match. We really don't. But we're going to be in again because WWE, it's like they're stuck in a time loop with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. It's going to be the same fucking shit that we've seen with the other matches that they had. One match I am not looking forward to at SummerSlam. And I hope the Nashville crowd fucking boos the hell out of that match. Because I know we're all tired of seeing Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. But that was Smackdown. Fucking awful show tonight. Vince McMahon coming out, starting the show, wasting our time for 3 minutes, and just covers up the whole allegations and scandal that's going on with him. Awful show. This show absolutely fucking sucks ass. Moving on to Rampage. Rampage was a good show tonight. We had Jon Moxley versus Dante Martin. We had Max Caster and the Gun Club, Austin and Colton versus Bear Country and Leon Ruff. Yeah, Leon Ruff. The guy who was a part of NXT, and he was a one-time NXT North American champion. We had Jade Cargill versus Willow Nightingale with the TBS Championship on the line. And the main event, we had Darby Allin versus Bobby Fish. Overall, Rampage was a good show tonight. Rampage opened up with Jon Moxley versus Dante Martin. William Regal was on commentary here with Taz and Excalibur and Chris Jericho. Always great to hear Regal on commentary. So Dante Martin ended up offering out his hand to Moxley. Moxley slapped Dante Martin's hand away. William Regal on commentary ended up explaining that there's no sportsmanship in the Blackpool Combat Club. So Excalibur ended up asking Regal about Zack Sabre Jr.'s comments directed at Bryan Danielson, to which Regal ended up saying that Sabre shouldn't insult Bryan. So we saw Moxley started grounding Dante Martin with a wrist lock. Dante Martin ended up reversing that, but Moxley ended up quickly retaking control of the match. He took down Dante Martin with a headlock. Martin ended up pushing off Moxley, but ran into a shoulder block by Moxley. Both Martin and Moxley ended up locking up. Moxley ended up grabbing another headlock and took down Martin. Martin ended up finding back up to his feet. He couldn't push off Moxley. So Dante Martin ended up following up with some kicks and a drop kick, which sent Moxley retreating out to the floor. Dante Martin was looking to go for a springboard dive from the top rope, and Moxley ended up walking away. and Dante Martin ended up springing back into the ring. Moxley got back into the ring and invited Dante Martin to chop him. And Dante Martin ended up taking a few shots at Moxley, but Moxley ended up knocking him down with a single chop. So Moxley ended up backing Dante Martin to the corner, started landing some more chops. Dante Martin ended up managing to reverse and return, the favor and chopping Moxley, but Moxley ended up reversing a whip, and Dante Martin ended up hitting hard in the corner. As Rampage came back from the commercial, Moxley ended up putting Dante Martin in a Texas Cloverleaf. And, of course, that's a hold done by Hiroshi Tanahashi. So Moxley sending, a message to Tanahashi. Moxley transitioned into a regal stretch and a front headlock. Moxley ended up landing some knees and a running knee to Dante Martin. He ended up going for the cover, to which Dante Martin ended up kicking out at 2. So at the end of the match, we had Moxley end up pinning a lariat on Dante Martin. He ended up going for the cover, to which Martin ended up kicking out at 2. Moxley ended up tying up Dante Martin in a submission, and Dante Martin ended up tapping out. So there you go. Jon Moxley ended up winning the match. Post-match, Moxley ended up bowing to Dante Martin in respect, and that was pretty much basically that. But overall, good match between Moxley and Dante Martin here. Then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was backstage with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Keith Lee ended up saying that he'll give Swerve 30 seconds to explain why he shouldn't beat his ass. Swerve ended up saying that the Casino Battle Royale was a single competition and that Keith Lee would have done the same. Keith Lee ended up starting to walk away. Swerve ended up trying to stop him. And so Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs end up, coming there. And pretty much that was basically that. So, looks like we're going to be getting Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland. So, that's that. And then we had pre-recorded comments from Malachi Black and Penta Oscuro. Them two will be meeting in a All-Atlantic Championship qualifying match this Wednesday on Dynamite. Should be a pretty good match between the both of them. My prediction, I think Malachi Black is going to win the match. He's going to move on in this tournament for the All-Atlantic Championship. But that's my prediction. Malachi Black will possibly win the match Wednesday on Dynamite. And then we had Max Caster and the Gun Club, Austin and Colton, versus Bear Country, Bear Bronson and Bear Boulder, and Leon Ruff. This was a quick match. Yeah, Caster and the Gun Club ended up coming out along with Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn. So Max Caster ended up doing his rap, of course. The match started off with all 6 guys brawling. Austin ended up taking down Leon Ruff in the ring. That allowed both Austin and Colton and Max Caster to do a celebration, the big scissor celebration, with the whole thing that they do with the scissor. Leon Ruff ended up getting up. Leon Ruff, former NXT star. He was one-time NXT North American champion. So he ended up running right into a chop by Austin Gunn. Austin Gunn ended up backing Leon Ruff into the corner with some kicks. He tagged in Colton. Both Austin and Colton ended up taking down Leon Ruff. Max Caster ended up hitting the mic drop elbow drop from the top turnbuckle on Leon Ruff. And there you go. Caster and the Gun Club end up winning the match. Bear Country was wasted here. So overall, very quick match. Leon Ruff ate the pin. That was that. Then we went to Lexi Nair. Lexi Nair was backstage with Hook. Lexi Nair ended up informing us that Hook will face a prospect from New Japan's LA Dojo next week. So Hook didn't even say anything as Lexi Nair was talking to him. and Danhausen end up coming. Danhausen ended up saying that he and Hook will destroy their opponents. Hook ended up speaking finally. He ended up saying that he's got this. And he ended up walking off. So we had Hookhausen on Rampage tonight in that backstage segment. And then we had the TBS Championship on the line. Jade Cargill defend the title against Willow Nightingale. So we had Jade Cargill end up coming out along with Stokely Hathaway and Kiera Hogan. Red Velvet was not there because I heard that Red Velvet is injured. So it was just Stokely Hathaway and Kiera Hogan coming out there. Stokely Hathaway was on commentary. And this whole match came about this past Wednesday on Dynamite, where Willow Nightingale ended up saying, "Oh, I want to face Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship." And that's when Stokely Hathaway on Dynamite ended up saying, "Oh, I'm going to make my commentary debut." So that is what we got tonight. And this was a solid women's match here, but obviously predictable in the end. So we had both women end up locking up. Cargill ended up powering down Willow Nightingale with a waistlock takedown. She ended up backing Nightingale into the corner, started hitting some strikes. Willow Nightingale ended up reversing the whip with a cartwheel, hit an enziguri on Jade Cargill. Cargill ended up catching Nightingale on her shoulders. She was doing squats in the middle of the ring. She ended up delivering a pump kick, which sent Nightingale out of the ring. And Kiera Hogan ended up attacking her. And as Rampage came back from the commercial, Nightingale ended up trying to do a roll-up. And Cargill ended up kicking out. At the end of the match, Cargill ended up escaping a gut wrench attempt. And she ended up hitting the pedigree onto Willow Nightingale. And Jade then followed up with Jaded on Willow Nightingale. She ended up going for the cover. There you go. Jade Cargill ended up winning the match, retaining the TBS Championship. Obviously. Post-match, we had Kiera Hogan end up coming into the ring, started being down on Nightingale. And Athena's music ended up playing. Athena ended up coming out, and she ended up entering through the crowd. She ended up hitting the old face on Kiera Hogan, but she then got taken down by Jade Cargill. Cargill ended up trying to do more damage on Athena. Chris Statlander ended up running down. Chris Statlander ran down. She ended up attacking Stokely Hathaway from behind. She got into the ring and chased off Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan. And that was basically that. Overall, solid match from Jade Cargill and Willow Nightingale. Even though the outcome of the match, we all knew who was going to win it. And then we had a pre-recorded promo from Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh. Jay Lethal ended up saying that they're putting in the work, unlike Samoa Joe. Satnam Singh ended up saying that they're just getting started. So a little pre-recorded promo from them. And then Excalibur on commentary, he ended up plugging the lineup for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. And there's going to be a new match. And the new match is going to be a winner-takes-all tag team three-way match for both IWGP and Ring of Honor tag team championships. It's going to be FTR versus Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan versus Roppongi Vice. So that should be a very good match there, you know, having the IWGP and Ring of Honor tag team titles on the line. Of course, they end up announcing Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Chris Jericho and Lance Archer for Dynamite on Wednesday. So that should be a good match there. And then we have Mark Henry. Mark Henry was speaking with both Darby Allin and Bobby Fish. Darby Allin ended up saying that he'll take out Bobby Fish as revenge for Kyle O'Reilly taking out Sting. To which Bobby Fish ended up saying, that's not happening. Darby Allin ended up saying that Bobby Fish's leg will be broken by the end of the night. So then we had the main event, which was Darby Allin versus Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish ended up making his way out first, and Darby Allin ended up coming out. Bobby Fish ended up attacking Darby Allin from behind, and Bobby Fish ended up going after Darby Allin's leg with a dragon screw. Darby Allin ended up rolling out to the floor. Bobby Fish ended up following him out, and he ended up ramming Darby Allin back first into the ring apron. Darby Allin ended up looking like he's trying to leapfrog him, but Bobby Fish ended up clipping Darby Allin's leg, and Darby Allin ended up spinning and crashing to the floor. Darby Allin ended up getting back in the ring, ended up hitting a dive to Bobby Fish on the floor. So Bobby Fish ended up recovering to take down Darby Allin in the ring, but he ended up getting sent to the floor again, and Darby Allin ended up hitting his suicide dive onto Bobby Fish. So Bobby Fish ended up recovering to take down Darby Allin, started punching him against the side of the ring. Bobby Fish hit a dragon screw, which sent Darby Allin crashing against the barricade. Bobby Fish ended up picking up Darby Allin by his leg, and he ended up doing that again, crashing, sending Darby Allin crash against the barricade. So Bobby Fish ended up going for a suplex, and Darby Allin ended up reversing that into a reverse DDT, which both men were down. So we had Bobby Fish end up lifting Darby Allin to the top turnbuckle. Bobby Fish ended up hitting a Super Falcon Arrow for a 2 count on Darby Allin. Bobby Fish ended up grabbing an ankle lock on Darby. Darby reversed that into the Last Supper, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Darby Allin ended up winning the match. Post-match, Bobby Fish immediately ended up attacking Darby Allin after the match. He called down Kyle O'Reilly to the ring with a chair. And the lights ended up going out in the arena. And when the lights came back on, Sting was standing in front of Kyle O'Reilly on the ramp. So Sting ended up making his return. Sting ended up hitting Kyle O'Reilly between his legs with his bat. Sting ended up tossing the chair to Darby Allin. It was a white chair. So Darby Allin ended up wrapping the chair around Bobby Fish's ankle. Darby Allin ended up going up to the top, and he ended up hitting the coffin drop onto the chair on Bobby Fish's leg. Bobby Fish was in pain. So Sting ended up getting into the ring with Darby Allin, and that was how Rampage went off the air. Overall, good match between Darby Allin and Bobby Fish, and it was good to see Sting end up returning. So, Rampage, good show it was tonight. But anyways, that's it for my review of SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my previous video, my movie review of Lightyear, if you guys haven't seen it. So definitely check out that. And until next video, I'll see you all later.